Are you going through a divorce in Wisconsin and unsure about how alimony works? Well, let me tell you, you are not alone. Whether you're worried about paying it or expecting to receive it, most people get this wrong. Wisconsin alimony is one of the most difficult and confusing aspects of divorce law because it's not formulaic like so many other areas of divorce law. And it is far more art than science because it varies in how it's applied from judge to judge and county to county. And folks going through a divorce sometimes guess at how alimony is applied in Wisconsin, and this ends up costing them big time. And in this video, I will show you exactly what Wisconsin judges are looking for when awarding alimony and how to protect your money situation. Well, hello, my name is Jeff Hughes, and I'm the CEO of Sterling Lawyers. We are the largest family law firm in Wisconsin. So what that means is that we see more cases and more judges than any other firms, and that gives us a treasure trove of data and experience to serve our clients with. And in today's video, I'm going to walk you through exactly what alimony is in Wisconsin and the three major factors that the judges actually look at before making a decision on alimony. So what is alimony in Wisconsin? Well, the first thing, there is no such thing as the term alimony in the courts in Wisconsin. It is called maintenance. Our legislator years ago changed the word from alimony to maintenance, but most people call it alimony, so that's what I've referred to so far in the video. But going forward, I'm going to just talk about maintenance, but know that it's the same thing, whether it's alimony or maintenance or even spousal support, you may hear it called. It's all really the same thing, and it is payments from one spouse to another spouse, whether that is during the divorce action, for a defined period after the divorce action, or it actually could be an indefinite order. So you should also know that maintenance is awarded on a case-by-case basis. There is no formula in the law for who is automatically entitled to maintenance, or the amount of that, or the length of that. There are certainly guidelines, okay? And I'm going to share with you next what the judges look at when ordering maintenance. So the basis for maintenance in Wisconsin is that we have a policy in our state legislature for when folks go through a divorce. After the divorce is over with, the law tries to put both spouses in a reasonable standard of living while also encouraging financial independence. And to do this, the law gives judges a wide latitude of discretion. Our divorce judges in Wisconsin consider three major factors when ordering maintenance. They look at the financial situation, they look at the duration, length of the marriage, and they also look at the contribution that both spouses made to that particular marriage. And under each of those three big categories are a number of factors that play into that, or kind of subcategories. So I'm going to walk you through each of those three. This is the important nuts and bolts of what judges consider and what they look at when ordering a maintenance, an award of maintenance. First is financial. Each party is required to submit a full and comprehensive financial disclosure statement that lays out all of their assets, all of their debt, and their income and their monthly living expenses. Okay, so the court looks at both parties' complete financial picture, and they consider a few points when they do this. They look at certainly the current income, but also not just the current income, but what is the earning capacity? What can both parties earn into the future? And a lot of times, one of the spouses, and oftentimes the wife, did not work at her full capacity during the marriage because she and her husband agreed that she would fulfill other marriage responsibilities. Taking care of the children primarily is the big one, or they just agreed that she would stay home for whatever reason or work part-time for whatever reason. So just an infinite number of different agreements that spouses agree to during the marriage for one party to work less or not at all outside of the home, okay? So the courts look at that and they hear evidence on that and they make their decision based on the complete financial picture and the agreements that the parties had while they were married, because that does impact their future earning capacity. The judges also look at each spouse's financial resources, what they have, and their property. The courts look at what is each spouse's ability to become self-sufficient. If there's one spouse that has been financially dependent on the other because of those agreements I referred to earlier, the courts will consider that and look at their ability to become self-sufficient in the future. Now, the judges also look at what was the standard of living that the parties enjoyed during the marriage. Now, most likely, given the fact that now you're breaking apart that home and each party have their own income and their own living expenses, it's unlikely that both parties will have the exact same standard of living. But if it's possible, the courts want to get both parties close to that, okay? That's what they want to see happen post-divorce. And the courts will also look at the paying spouse, the spouse that might be paying. What is their ability to maintain their own needs? We can't impoverish the paying spouse to the benefit of the other spouse. So how do you maintain this? This is a big, delicate balancing act when it comes to the financials. But those are some of the big factors that the courts look at very intensely when making their order for maintenance. Okay, so the first big set of factors is financial. I just went over that. Now I'm going to talk to you about the duration, the length of the marriage. This is the second major factor that the judges look at. And under this are a bunch of sub-factors that the courts look at, okay? Now, obviously the length, right? How long was the marriage? So as you can imagine, the shorter the marriage, the less likely there is going to be a maintenance award. And if there is one, it'll be for a fixed or a definite period of time. If it's a long-term marriage, 20 plus years a lot of times, depending on the county, of course, and the individual judge and many other factors, but the longer the marriage, the more likely it's going to be closer to an indefinite order, meaning there's no fixed end date. All right, so 20 years is kind of the magic number. Some judges look at less, some start at 15, but 20 is kind of like what most attorneys in Wisconsin look at and say, okay, that's the number for length of marriage equaling an indefinite order of maintenance if there's a big income disparity. Okay, the courts also look as a part of this duration is the time needed for one or both parties to get re-educated, trained up to meet the demands of the workforce today and to get a good paying job. They'll look at the age and the health of both parties. So the younger they are, the less likely for a long-term award of maintenance. The older, well, they're approaching retirement, so there could be a more significant need for someone in their 50s versus someone in their 20s. And the courts will also look at what's the retirement timeline and what's the planning been while the folks were married, while the parties were married. What is that expectation for retirement looking like in the future? Okay, so for the third major factor that the courts look at, the judges want to understand if one spouse significantly contributed to the marriage and especially to the career, the education, the training of the other spouse. When that is the case, where there's one spouse who is able to pursue their career with vigor and build it and have opportunities and advance financially and in earning capacity and all of that, while the other spouse supported the education, the career advancement, had homemaking responsibilities a lot of time, raised the children, had primary responsibility for doing the child rearing and child raising part of the marriage. When that's the case, the court's going to say, okay, that is a big time opportunity for having a maintenance award. That's significant. Now, of course, the court's going to look at what do the financials look like? What is the actual earning capacity of both spouses? So they'll look at that too. But that contribution part, whenever there's one spouse that contributed in a significant way in that domain, the courts will heavily weigh that when it comes time for a maintenance award. Okay, now that I've shared those three big groupings of factors, financial, duration, and contribution to the marriage, those three big factors and all of the sub-factors underneath them. Now that you are armed with that information for what judges look for when ordering maintenance, you might be wondering, what's next? What does this mean for my money? We have another video that addresses this. So check out this video right here on how much alimony is awarded in Wisconsin, where you'll see typical payment amounts and help you figure out what your particular case might be from either a payment or a receipt of maintenance. Thank you, and I hope that you get the information here that you need to handle your divorce well.